The autonomic nervous system is part of the peripheral nervous system, so the PNS. You'll also remember that the somatic nervous system is also part of the peripheral nervous system. So I'm going to put autonomic nervous system versus somatic, because we've talked about the somatic already, because it has to do with motor neurons that innervate skeletal muscle. So when we look at the autonomic nervous system, it innervates smooth muscle, like that in your digestive system, and also in your blood vessels and in your bladder and elsewhere, cardiac muscle in your heart, and glands. So the glands would be, for example, the salivary glands. It would also be the pancreas, which is a digestive gland. It's also, for example, your lacrimal glands that produce tears. So all kinds of different glands, even your sweat glands. So the somatic nervous system innervates, just as a reminder, skeletal muscle only. So this autonomic nervous system is involuntary, which means that it is not under conscious control. When we look at the innervation of the autonomic nervous system, instead of just having a single axon coming out of the spinal cord, for example, we would have a chain of 2 axons. So that's another characteristic. So we have a chain of 2 neurons, which have axons, and they are connected via a ganglia. So we have what is called the preganglionic neuron, and then we have the ganglia, which is where the nerve cell bodies reside, and then we have the postganglionic neuron. Ganglionic neuron. Okay, so let's look at a table that looks at this, these chains of neurons, and then compares the autonomic nervous system with the somatic nervous system. So when we look at a somatic neuron, which is shown up here, you'll notice that, oh, we have a nerve cell body. It is in the gray matter of the spinal cord, is coming out via the ventral root out, and it innervates skeletal muscles. And we talked about acetylcholine as being an excitatory neurotransmitter that stimulates skeletal muscle. When we look at the autonomic division, whether it be sympathetic or parasympathetic, which we'll talk about those differences in a little bit, you'll notice that here we have the nerve cell body, and then this axon extends out to a ganglia. And this ganglia then connects with another neuron that then innervates. What do we have innervating here? The heart, the bladder, and this looks like the pancreas. We also have it innervating the adrenal glands right here. So notice that there is a preganglionic neuron and a postganglionic neuron, and they connect at the ganglia. So let's look at the 2 divisions of the ANS. We have the parasympathetic division, and this is what we sometimes refer to as the rest and digest. It comes out of the neurons that innervate and are part of the parasympathetic division, come out of the cranial sacral region. So we say the outflow is cranial sacral. And we also say that the postganglionic neuron, or the postganglionic axon, releases acetylcholine, or ACH. And that is an important note because acetylcholine in this particular instance could actually lower your heart rate, but it could also speed up digestion. So it's the rest and the digest. Then we have the sympathetic division. That is the fight or flight. Where does it originate from? It has its, what is referred to as a thoracic lumbar rather than cranial sacral outflow. And its postganglionic axons release norepinephrine, which is a form of adrenaline. So norepinephrine can speed up your heart rate, speed up your breathing rate, and it actually decreases the motility and the release of digestive juices. So when you're in fight or flight, your digestive system kind of shuts down and all of the energy and blood goes to, for example, the muscles in order to fight or flee. So when we look at this diagram or look at the diagram that we looked at previously, so here we have norepinephrine. This is the sympathetic. The sympathetic is releasing norepinephrine. The parasympathetic postganglionic neuron is actually releasing acetylcholine. And those have different antagonistic effects on most of the organs, so that the sympathetic tends to stimulate some and depress others, and then the parasympathetic has the exact opposite. So they act antagonistically in order to maintain homeostasis. So there is a table in your book that shows these differences between the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. And notice that the action of the neurotransmitter released could be excitatory in some cases or inhibitory in other cases, and it has to do with the receptors that they bind. So that, in summary, is the autonomic nervous system.